Hey there, friends. Big travel weekend ahead of us, Memorial Day weekend, and a lot of people are going to be on the road. This is kind of like the kickoff of summer. I want to caution people to be very safe and very careful and very cognizant and aware of your surroundings. Do I know something? No, I don't know anything. What I do know is there's a whole lot of unanswered questions out there and a whole lot of weird stuff that's happening right now, and nobody ever can seem to answer anything or make a legitimate tie to all these things together. You'll remember last year that my friend John Crump over at AmmoLand found this document that the FBI was putting out that was going to identify all these crazy white people that were doing nutty things. Militia violent extremism is what they titled the document. You'll remember that they went on to say in this document, now this is a closed interoffice document that leaked, by the way, that Second Amendment advocates and a number of other things would point to people who were potential extremists and needed to watch out for, which even included flying the Don't Tread on Me Gadsden flag or the Betsy Ross flag, which I happen to have had in all of my white supremacy history books when I was in school. The document also stated that if anybody talked about Ruby Ridge or Waco, that they were very possibly exposing themselves as part of a militia group or network that needed to be looked at. Fast forward to the border opening up. Now, we know we've had a flood of illegal aliens coming in on the southern border for a couple of years now, almost 3 years. Of course, it got way worse this month whenever the lifting of Title 42 took place. Now, the White House is lying about the numbers, but they're lies, and everybody knows they're lies. The people on the far left know they're lies, too. It's like they're sitting back there going, I can't believe that they're saying these lies, and everybody knows better. Well, as many as 125 known suspected terrorists have been apprehended at the southern border in the fiscal year 2023. Folks, that's how many we caught. There are millions of people who never get spoken to, stopped, questioned, vetted, anything that passed through the border. Do you honestly think that these 125 that they caught are the worst of the worst? Because I can explain this to you in very simple terms. The people that get caught are probably stupid. The people who get through are probably a little slicker and a little more organized. So the worst of the worst have made it through. So if we caught 125, I expect probably 1,200 to be in the country that are known terrorists on the watch list. This number is only going to grow on a daily basis. Then to make sure that we didn't forget the fact that all of you and myself are thrown into this violent extremist group, militia group, and whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all in the far right. If you're in the far right, you are a potential far right extremist. Well, check out this cool little food pyramid that the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and they're going to lie about this. They've already said that they did not sponsor this, but they did. They've been called out as a lie. They funded a project, and this is what they are looking for from the results of said project up in Ohio. It's the pyramid of far right radicalization. Look at the symbols they have on there. Now, number 4, which is, they say, smaller size of groups towards the top, increased level of extremism. I don't recognize any of those symbols. Let's move down to number 3. I recognize the Nazi symbol. That was in one of my history books also. See, I read some of the books that I actually saw in school, and that was one of the symbols that was in it. Drop down to number 2. Little bit less level of extremism there. Look what we've got there. We've got all the enemies of the wackos on the far left. Breitbart, PragerU, Turning Point USA, InfoWars. I don't recognize some of those other ones. Look down at number 1. yeah. These are extremists, right? Again, these are simply opposition to the wackos on the far left. Fox News. Fox News is more of an ally to the far left than they are allies to the far or even center right. The Heritage Foundation. Are you kidding me? An extremism organization? The Heritage Foundation is simply not a left-leaning media group, so they're lobbed into this group. Probably for the same reasons they try to throw Fox in there, but they're too stupid to realize Fox is as left-leaning as most of the other outlets that the people are following like slaves. And of course, you see to the far right, guess what? If you're a Republican, if you have that little elephant symbol anywhere, you are potentially at a certain level of extremism, according to a project funded by the United States Department of Homeland Security. So that's kind of the groundwork of where the federal government is trying to weaponize various parts of the government and various media outlets. They're trying to make sure that if you don't fit into their box and you don't agree to everything that you read on Facebook by some of these wacko left-leaning outlets, that you're going to fit into that box over there in the corner. Potential extremists. This is a gaslighting effort. This is an effort to say that if you're not with us, you're against us, and we're going to use the power that we currently control, and we're going to use it against you. Notice no one was talking about the video that I put out last week about the 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate, which can be mixed with diesel fuel to make a bomb that can blow buildings up off the face of the earth. No one's talking about the disappearance of that. Keep that in the back of your mind real quick. Next up, we have a travel warning that the alphabet wackos have issued to people visiting Florida. Now, they say Florida specifically, but they're listing a travel warning out there for all of their people to stay away from Florida. Now, there's no real danger in Florida. It's the politics of Florida that, if you want to look at it on its surface, that maybe they don't agree with. Why would you keep people from going to a state just because you don't agree with their politics? Not many people agree with the politics of California and New York, but those are very hot travel sites. People go there left and right, and that's a huge travel destination, even though people go there and don't agree with the local politics. So this kind of had me perplexed when these alphabet wackos are being specific about where not to go and warning their people not to go there. Follow that up with our friends in the federal government issuing at the last minute satellite phones to all the senators. The only question I have is, what do they know that we don't know? Or what are they planning? Don't the American people deserve to be treated a little bit better than this? Don't the American people deserve to not be put on a list just because you have differing views of somebody else? You know, I don't see one mention in any of these FBI or Department of Homeland Security documents of Antifa, a proud, known, self-described terrorist organization. These people don't try to hide it. They do it in your face. They show you what they're capable of. They tell you what they're capable of, and they carry out these things. It may not be very effective, and it may be kind of a milquetoast brand of terrorism, but it is terrorism, and they don't try to run from that description of themselves. Yet they're not listed anywhere in here. Think of where the money comes from, the funding, who funds them. Think of that. That's why they're not on there. More on that later. The trans community, they have videos, they have pictures, they have memes. Heck, they even had a doggone a march they were going to have that was going to be something that they were going to retaliate against people for. They are the ones threatening to use guns and everything else to fight people who don't believe in their weird little lies. That's a terrorist organization. They're not listed anywhere in here, which I would suspect that some of the people in the FBI and the ATF are probably part of that group of the trans group, so they're probably purposely from the inside trying to protect their friends, but nevertheless, I digress on that. And BLM, I realize Black Lives Matter is going out of business because they have mismanaged all their funding. They've bought mansions on hills. They don't really care about Black lives. They care about green money. That's what they cared about. So they're going bankrupt. But they're a terrorist organization. After George Floyd bit the dust, they lit things on fire, burned cities down that had nothing to do with anything related to the death of George Floyd. Yet none of these people served any time. None of these people were arrested, charged, or anything like that. And they were carrying out true, legitimate terrorism. Folks, we are heading into the summer season. We've got Memorial Day weekend this weekend. And in about a month, we've got another weekend, big weekend, July 4th weekend. And then, of course, 6 or so weeks after that, we've got Labor Day. We're getting into that summer season where a lot of people are on the road. A lot of people have been gathering into one place. And a lot of people are not going to be paying attention to their surroundings. Please pay attention to your surroundings. We still have 30 tons of potential explosive floating around out there that nobody can account for. We've already got all these people sending out warnings. We've got the Senate, who clearly has a warning of some sort, unless they're just looking to piss away extra money on these satellite phones. My guess is they know something. They're simply not going to tell us because they're more important than us. And we wouldn't be able to handle that information, right? Watch out, guys. Have a great weekend. Have a good weekend. Have a safe weekend. Watch your back, watch your neighbor's back, ask your neighbor to watch your back. You see something funny happening, I would respond to it appropriately, however you have to. But watch out for people trying to frame you into doing something so that you don't wind up in one of these far-right groups in some kind of dungeon under Washington, D.C., where they hide people that they don't agree with politically.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America. He's